Yep. Okay, that's working now. So delayed. Okay, hey everyone. This is another Saturday night with Sam, but I also have my lovely guest Patrick with me once again. So Patrick joined me, was it 2 weeks
Good evening to you.
Was it 2 weeks you joined me? Was it last week?
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So you've given
Last Saturday I was still on the train back home.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, because you said that if you had more notice, you would have been able to come on, but you didn't. I didn't give you anybody notice. So yes. We'll have a look at who's in the chat. This is not been put up on Facebook, so I should have probably done that beforehand as well. Phil has literally just left my house. He's come round and he's just set up the green screen behind me, which is not perfect yet. We've just ordered something so that it should be getting a little bit better tomorrow. I'm just tweaking with this actually. There we go. Yes, and Patrick looks fantastic as well in the WGO hoodie with the green screen setup. Yes. So we've got one topic tonight, which may lead into a second topic because these were suggested by you, weren't they, Patrick?
Yes, because I thought something it would be interesting to talk about it and what kind of impacts it has on the hobby aspects.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because I think I definitely looked at Kickstarters in a different way. Certain Kickstarters I think are brilliant. Other ones I've not been so keen on. So we'll go through those and I'll try and bring some of it up on screen. If anybody's got any examples of Kickstarters that were amazing, let us know in the chat and then I'll try and bring them up on screen and we'll have a look through them. We've got one that's suggested by Patrick and I've only just seen some of the models from them and they look amazing. So we'll have a look at those as well. I've had to be careful because there's a lot of miniature nudity which I've had to try and filter out, so I've done my best with that. We'll quickly go through the chat. I don't think there's loads of people just yet. There's me with my random text at the top, and then Patrick, and then Elstonation. So Elstonation's joined. Welcome Elstonation, and Graham Rigg, Pierre Bertilson, and that's it for now. That's all we've got joined. So thank you for turning up on a Saturday evening. I know most of you probably got more important things to do than listen to myself. However, Patrick is here to make it interesting. So we'll let's get straight into it. So the Kickstarters that when you said to me, Patrick, Kickstarters, Boon or Bane, my initial thinking was there's a lot that gets released and they're quite regular. Certain companies, their entire business model is based around making a Kickstarter, making a load of money from it, and then going on to the next project and rinse and repeat doing that again and again and again. And there's positives and downsides to that. Like the positives are you can get some amazing projects and games created, and the only way that they would have been created is through crowdfunding sources like Kickstarter, and it gives a business an opportunity to make something that's amazing. So it's definitely a good thing on that aspect.
Yes, I can agree on that, but I see there also some kind of the danger that some people just use the Kickstarter to produce and publish their product, but after the Kickstarter is over, you will never find it in a store.
Yes.
And either you have been lucky to be involved in the Kickstarter, or you have to buy it for a lot of money on eBay, for example. And that is something I don't like. I think we will talk later, for example, on Creature Caster. They made a Kickstarter like I would prefer it.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go into that and you can explain what you liked about that. Going back to your point though, like if not only is it difficult sometimes to buy models from Kickstarters because there needs to be some form of exclusivity. So the reason, one of the reasons why you may pay money before it comes out into retail and risk it is to allow yourself to get some sort of benefit, some sort of exclusive release or a model like that.
Yes, but that's something I would say every Kickstarter project has, that they try to fund something, and if they reach certain levels, you will get, for example, extra models or options for the model.
Okay, so that's the extra benefits from that, and they've got the stretch goals, haven't they? Where if they reach a certain amount,
right?
The downside from me is not games not being supported. I don't think it's as big of a problem when it's if you're painting models and you're buying a model to paint, it's not so much of a problem. But if you're trying to invest into a system or a game that you want to play in the future, or you want to get other people involved in, sometimes Kickstarters aren't great, because there will be companies that will create a world, create a bunch of models, release them, sell a load of them, and then they'll basically move on to the next project, and the previous ones aren't supported. And personally, if I was going to invest into a gaming system, and the reason I've stuck with Games Workshop for so many years and not even looked at the others, is because of the support that's given after you've bought the models. You can go to pretty much any club, any store, or Games Workshop store, obviously they're everywhere, but you can pretty much go anywhere, and if someone's into wargaming, Games Workshop will be there in some shape or form. Whereas a lot of Kickstarters, it's very difficult to find people who are involved in those projects unless they're your mates and you got them involved at the same time as you did.
Yes, I think that's also a main problem, how people can get in the hobby. Games Workshop does their something good, because they have stores where you can go in and get first in contact with the hobby aspects.
Yeah.
Because at least here in Germany, the stores that would be an independent store with different products, they are quite hidden, at least in Hamburg.
Yeah.
So it's rather hard to find them and enter them by accident.
I think that's a good point. And I know Tabletop Minions, Uncle Atom has basically created an app with his company where you can find people, and we're going to look at that in the future. I think where you can find gamers and also stores and events in your local area. And I think that sort of app is something that's being asked for by the community in a way, or people who can't necessarily find these clubs and these outlets to play games. And there's potentially going to be this app. I mean, it's available. They just need to get more and more people involved in it. But it will basically tell you when an event is or where the clubs are and all these areas that you might not know about. This app kind of shows you on a map where to go, and you can join in with those. So I think that's a good thing that's been done by them as well.
Yes, that's true.
I'm going to quickly go.
But I think for Kickstarters, you have to be already at least involved in the hobby aspects and know about it. Otherwise, people would not look for it.
No, that's
because
true.
They are very special in many kinds of aspects.
And I think one of the things that you were saying, actually, one of the questions that you gave me was, are board games with excellent figures an entrance to the hobby? So like gateway games. And I think Kickstarter and that question are very similar, because a lot of the board games and stuff that's been on Kickstarter, and I'm thinking things like Zombicide, they're board games with miniatures, and I wouldn't say they're excellent figures. That in terms of miniature range, then I wouldn't buy them for that. But in terms of a gateway game to get into wargaming, I think they could possibly be something to look at. And I know, like Rachel, she absolutely loves board games more than anything. I'm not a massive board game fan, so for me, a board game wouldn't get me into wargaming. But for Rachel, playing the board game is a gateway game. So it depends on the person.
Sam, can I show the first box?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. I think at the end of December, finally my box of
Mythic
-1 Battle Pantheon arrived.
Yeah.
And let me just pick some figures out. They are already put together, and I hope you can see it. Is it clear?
Yes. I think it's just getting into focus. That's it. Perfect now.
So it's a absolutely beautiful model.
Yeah.
And they have there also some big ones.
Wow. Is that hard plastic or is it resin?
I think it's some kind of resin, maybe a hard plastic mix.
Yeah.
It's not bending a lot, and it looks like it's some of the arms are glued on it. But the model itself is with lots of details. So if someone buys this game and without painting, you could start to play.
Yeah, but the models are great, so you could paint them up, and even if you weren't playing games, they're good to paint.
Yes, but I think people that would normally buy this game would buy it because it's a board game, and to have such neat figures with it, it might encourage people to paint them. And if you start to look up, how do I paint models? It's an entry point for the hobby to maybe be interested also in other aspects of wargaming.
Yeah, got a good point. And I'm trying to think of some others that have been Kickstarters. I mean, Wordforge Games, the guys around the corner from us, they use Kickstarter quite regularly to kickstart their projects and their games, and they've done really well with it. So it does, they wouldn't. I don't think they'd be as successful as they are without the Kickstarter campaigns. I think projects, it's going off a little bit, but like the AK stuff, I don't think he would have been able to do as well again without Kickstarter. It gives smaller companies the opportunity to do really well, and I think that's definitely a positive and something that is brilliant in such a niche area that we're kind of involved with. And it's down to the community whether they support or don't support these projects. And I think overall, you see a lot of projects that just do amazingly well. So there is a demand for these games and the board games and the products that go in with wargaming. So I think it's definitely not a bad thing.
Yes, I think that's true. And for example, in Germany, we have there a huge fair called Spiel in Essen. It's a town in Western Germany. It's more or less all about board games, and it's frequent by young and old people. And if you would like to publish something, you have to present it there. And people come from all over Europe, even some from the United States, over to know board games.
I think that might be the one that we were trying to get to this year. When is it? When is that on?
Ooh, I think it's always in the mid of October.
Oh, okay, that's fine then. That gives us plenty of time, because I know there's so many shows. There's ChillCon, which we're going to do something on shortly.
And over the last years, they have expanded, and now there are at least 2 sections with miniature games and board games and even tabletop games. I think last year, Games Workshop was there, not only with a Forge World store, but they presented their Blood Bowl, Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I think Games Workshop are pretty much turning up everywhere now, all of the events. I know they're going to be at... what's it called? There's a board game one in Birmingham. Not XL, no. Oh, God. I don't even know how I forget these things. There's a board game, massive convention in Birmingham, which is probably like June, July time or something, but that's going to be huge. That's it, Birmingham. But yeah, they turned up there last year, and then I imagine they'll be there this year again. Okay, I'm going to go through the chat, and then I'm going to have a quick look at Creaturecaster on the Kickstarter. I'm going to see if anybody else has suggested any more, but we'll just have a look at an example of what Kickstarter has done with stuff in the past. So we've got Pierre Bertilson is asking, before you start, which we have done, when will we see Fireslayer Battle Report? I know Phil came around this evening and he's played a game against Jack. I don't think it was Fireslayers. I think he was testing out his new battle report setup, which he's got at his house. And he said it's devastating, the 2 armies. So I don't know whether that was Fireslayers or not. But after March, I mean, the army will be painted because he's going to be taking it to the tournament. So I'd say at the very latest, it's going to be end of March, maybe April time if he's got to edit them. But with the new style of battle reports, they should take a lot less time to edit, so you might see them beforehand. Felhate is saying hi, Sam and Patrick and chat. Hello, Felhate, and Scott Byle as well. Welcome, Scott. Shiner Shen. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
I would guess it's someone from Germany, and it would be Shinerchen.
There we go. That's another benefit of having you here, Patrick. You can pronounce things properly. Saying hi, Sam, Patrick, and chat.
I will just pronounce every letter that is in his name.
Yes.
That's the German way.
Fell hate, but doesn't Patrick have unlimited funds? As a guy who can't afford a tin of beans, I've never even looked at a Kickstarter. I think you. I mean, there are a lot of people who literally only buy Kickstarter campaigns. I've seen it on Facebook. I've seen a lot of people who buy Kickstarter only because it helps out the smaller companies. Myself, I think the reason I've always tended to go towards Games Workshop over Kickstarters is because of that lasting value. That's the reason I tend to not go towards any Kickstarters. But now that I'm going to be doing more painting, and me and Phil were talking yesterday about our channel update, I'm looking for miniatures that are going to be good at painting from many different ranges. So that opens up Kickstarter and a load of different companies all around the world and their miniature ranges, which I can use for tutorials. So I think it depends what you want to get from it. If you want a game that's long lasting, I think genuinely that Kickstarter is not always a good one. Just to be honest, I think that's one of the downsides of Kickstarter. But I think to try new stuff, to get smaller companies off the ground and doing well, I think Kickstarter is amazing.
Yes, that's true. And I think a good example will be Creature Caster, on which we will talk later.
Yeah, we've got some amazing models to show from that. Scott Byle, Kickstarter are best when they are used to bring miniatures or scenery to expand on an existing genre. Yeah. I think one of the things I heard in the past was some companies, and I don't know which ones, but have used Kickstarter when they've got the capability to run it not on Kickstarter, if you get what I mean. So they have, like Games Workshop, you wouldn't expect Games Workshop to start doing Kickstarters on games. They've built up a company where they can release stuff, but there are bigger companies that still use it.
I would back it if they said they would do High Elves on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Just to bring it out next month.
Yeah. I mean, that might be a way for Games Workshop to actually get all the codexes up to date. They do Kickstarter campaigns where they say, if you pay for this Kickstarter, then you'll get this race early. I know High Elves, if they offered that to you, Patrick, you'd probably pay for the Kickstarter just to get the High Elves as like a head start.
I think many small companies, or even if they are already in the business, use nowadays Kickstarters to how is it called, to move the risk of it to the customer. So they don't have to finance the production of everything beforehand, but will collect the money and start production afterwards. So they are on a safe base for it and won't lose money normally.
And I think that's another benefit, because it's almost like a pre-order system that you see with like the video game industry. That at first, when you had to pre-order for, when pre-orders have always been around since the beginning of gaming, pretty much. But over the years, it's become more and more accepted that pre-ordering is not something that's a problem. Whereas I know when I was working in a game store, like 8 to 10 years ago, you started saying, do you want to pre-order a game? And everyone would just laugh at you, like, why do I need to pre-order? Whereas now it's people queue and turn up just to get their pre-orders down. And it's a similar sort of thing for the miniature side of stuff. Like, the customers are paying their money up front so that later on down the line they've got dibs on the product when it's released, and the company knows how many to produce. They know their workload before it all hits them. And I think it's the same sort of stuff. And it also it allows that company to better understand what works, what customers want, and be prepared for the launch. So I think that's another huge bonus from Kickstarter for companies and for customers.
I think Paulos01 just posted something right about it. And if it's even English, you better read it out.
Okay, let me just try and catch up then. So I'll catch up. I'll definitely get there. Graham Rigg, I've backed games that I have never seen again after fulfillment, and that's another downside. We'll talk about that because I know there's a few like that. Al Kirkham, welcome Al. Hey Sam, Patrick, and all. I have seen the Pantheon Kickstarter game and models and agree with Patrick that they are great models. So there we go. There's another. I mean, just looking what Patrick has just shown us, they do look amazing. Paulos01, hi, hope you're well. And Raptured Knight. Hey, Raptured Knight. I know we're Raptured Knight from the local area. Not seen you in a while. I hope you're doing well. Hey, Sam and Patrick, even though I only paint still, I find it very interesting. There we go. And this one's more talking about Kickstarters. And I hope your painting is still the hobby that you've been doing, because I know you were very, very good at it. The Johnsonator, evening guys. Jim Wilson, hey everyone, sorry I'm late. Don't worry, Jim. Scott Boyle, Cool Mini or Not, could bring their games to market without Kickstarter. That might be one that I've heard of. Then it could be Cool Mini or Not. It's big, big enough now to not use Kickstarter, but still do it. But I think, like Patrick said, it's not necessarily a negative because it allows customers to choose whether their product is going to be successful or not, and it lets them realize whether to go ahead with certain projects. So although it looks like they could get Games Workshop, if Games Workshop said we're releasing this army idea and nobody paid for it, then they just wouldn't do it. If they released an idea and everyone went, yeah, that's cool, we'll throw money at it, Games Workshop would know to expand it more than they currently have planned. So I think even big companies can use it to an advantage. Green Stuff Games, welcome Green Stuff Games. Right, I think this may be getting towards it. Paolo01, Kickstarter has its place bringing products to market that we might otherwise not see. That said, the problem is retailer owners are reluctant to stock the product due to lack of post-Kickstarter sale. I think that's the biggest downside.
Yes.
I think that's it. I think what I would love to see is, and I know I'm going full circle on this, but I would actually like to see companies like Games Workshop show in advance what their plans are and get an interest from the customer base. I don't think that's a bad thing because you know that they're around, you know that they're going to continue to support their game. And even if it's not Games Workshop, if let's just pick an imaginary company, they release a product, it does really well on Kickstarter, enough to fund it, then they release the expansion for it, and they just keep doing that, and their company grows, their range is constantly supported, and it's got a good fan base that you can buy before the Kickstarter is done, but you can also purchase it from a shop afterwards as well if you want to. So I think that's the ideal situation with a Kickstarter campaign.
Right. And that is, for example, something I would hope for Mythic Battle Pantheon, that they will offer some add-ons later, so it will be in stores and generate more interest.
Yeah, because that will help them grow. I mean, if you keep maintaining a product, it's going to grow. They've done the work. Just keep releasing the product so people can buy it. It could be that it just doesn't do so well, which is why they just don't keep up with the supply. And that could be...
I think it does good. I think the company is from France, and they offer, at least in France, already tournaments. So
I don't know what's the positive. Like, why would you... If you've got a well-selling product, you've funded it on Kickstarter, and you've got a demand for it, I don't understand why anybody would stop supply. I don't know the reason for that.
Maybe they made a calculation, and if they said, if we sell so many products, but normally if you already invested so much in producing them, why not keep producing them and offer it to a even wider range? Because not many people look for games on Kickstarter. They go to the local store and look what is new and what is coming new.
Yeah,
and by that you find even other players to play with. If you're just interested for it for the minute to paint them up, but it's still a board game, for example, like Mythic Pantheon, and you would like to play with it, and for that you need other peoples.
Yeah, exactly.
And they for example would need the game too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Okay, so we've got the Johnsonator. I've just backed my first Kickstarters. I backed Hate purely for the miniatures. I think I've seen that. I'll have a look in a moment as well. There's several tribes that I can paint differently to differentiate them, but the models look amazing. So we'll definitely check out Hate. Paulus has put some big companies such as Mantic and Sigmar are constantly on Kickstarter, which I find odd. It's almost as though they use surplus money from Kickstarter to fund their other products or for profit. Limited print runs, maybe, especially if a third party is relied on for production. Yeah, and I think, if a company says, we're going to take a load of money and we're going to use it to release this stuff, and they become really profitable from it, I don't think there's any downside to that, as long as they're still supplying what's been paid for, if you get what I mean. Like, if they've said, we're going to produce these 10 lines, we're asking for this much money, and then they get a they continue to supply those lines, but with the extra money that they've made, they continue to grow as a business. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because they're going to continue to grow, and then they will hopefully maintain their range and keep it supported. I think that's the only way for a company to last as long as the bigger ones do. If they're literally just taking it to buy a yacht and then not support their company going forwards, then that's not great for the consumer, and they get a yacht out of it, but the company will not grow. And I think if you want to make a company grow, you invest it back into the business and make new projects, which is perfect for Kickstarter again.
Yes. But I think Mythic Battle Pantheon will be released in stores because they presented it also on last year's Spiel at Essen. So I could not think, why would they present it there if they wouldn't deliver it to independent stores?
No. Okay, I've got Hate up here, and Ralph's just said, "Hey guys, just checking in for 5 minutes or so. Hope you are well. I'm doing much better. I hope you're doing well, Ralph. How about yourself, Patrick? Are you all right at the moment?" Patrick?
Again, please?
I was saying, how are you at the moment? Are you doing good?
Sure.
Yeah, you're always doing well. You're always so happy, Patrick. Right, let me find... Right, we have... Let me switch this over. Here we go. Right, hopefully this works. There we go. And we can't scroll down too much on here because, like I said, there's too many nipples, so I'm going to have to be careful. So this is the Creature Caster Kickstarter campaign, and I'm going to have to probably skip a bit of this, but we've just got an example of one of the renders, which has been sculpted by this Jeremy Glenn and Joe Bullock. This is the Warrior Demon, which just looks amazing. And look how big this model is as well.
So I showed you because I got some of the demons. Let me see.
Yeah, that's massive.
It's...
And the detail which is on there is just...
So, yeah, you can see it. It's very detailed. And I noticed them at first when Jeremy Glenn and his, I think, wife, Sophia, made, for example, her. Their first company was called Ultraforge, and they had very detailed models like this tree woman. And when I noticed him doing a Kickstarter, I just backed there because he said he would start his own company afterwards and selling the products to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's one big draw for you, is straight away, if they will sell to everyone, then you're in. The models are incredible, so that's already a given, but it's going to be supported and sold afterwards, so that's almost seals the deal for you, really, as a customer.
Yes.
I wonder if I can see this one. Yeah, there's no nipples on here. Pincer Demon, another really nice looking beastman looking thing, actually. That's like almost got a goat head kind of thing with a bit of fur on that. That's really cool. What else have we got? The Vulture Demon. We're going to have a look at this on the website, actually, because you've got this one as well, haven't you, Patrick?
Yes.
You could probably just... Have they sent you a little catalogue so you can tick them off as you get them? Or they should make a little catalogue, a little checklist for you so you can tick them off. But the detail is insane. Let me go through. So this is from their website, creaturecaster.com, and you can click on their store, and there's loads of models available. So check this out and just have a look through at the range. As I've said, some of them have got boobs. I know some people hate that on models, and other people love it. So it's personal taste. But I just picked out some of the models that I really like the look of, like the dragons. Obviously, dragons are always amazing for me. But this is a mountain dragon on top of a giant rock. It's got almost a bit of armor where you could have somebody stood on the back of him, maybe. And just the detail on these are just incredible. There we go, one for scale. Looks like a space marine there, and you can see how big he is. So that's the mountain dragon. And the price as well is quite reasonable. I mean, that's $96 for a model that size. If that was in Forge Order, it'd be at least 150 quid for something that scale. Although some of their dragons from Forge Order are actually not bad. We have the zombie dragon, again, with a similar sort of thing on the back. Not too many pieces, actually, either. I think they would go together quite well. The vulture demon, and painted up there, that looks insane. Is that going in your Tzeentch army, Patrick?
I was first thinking about it, but the models are still in the package.
Oh, okay. But it will be going in the army when it's done.
Yes.
Just not maybe not in time for. You can't take it to the tournament because it's not a GW model. But
right.
Imagine that you turn up, you spend all that time, and then you turn up at this tournament, and they go, "Yeah, sorry, non-GW." It's a nice big model again. And then we've got the Emperor Dragon, and you were not too keen on this, but I absolutely love the head on it.
Yes, but I think his positioning, I don't like it so much.
Personal preference again, though. Like, I mean, I really like the head on it. I like the pose in general. I think the wings could be down a little bit more. I think they're a bit too high up, but overall, it's a really dynamic looking model. It looks like he's about to land onto. Is he landing on a rock?
Yes, on a rock.
Looks like he's about to land on it.
But normally, for example, for my taste, his neck is too short.
Yes, yeah, I get what you mean with that. Yeah. Really nice model. I know Elstonation, he probably has seen all of this already, but this is like Elstonation's selection of models straight away. I could see him painting these up in a couple of hours and making them look fantastic. So that's that. Okay, we'll quickly look at hate. So this was suggested. Who was it that suggested that? Was it Paolo's? No, Johnsonator suggested this one. So I have seen this, and I remember seeing the face because it was an angry-looking bloke. Looks like a very angry game. There's a lot of blood there. I think if you're playing Khorne already, this looks like it will work. So what do you get in here? The core box, $120, Tyrant Pledge, what you get. I mean, I don't know anything about this other than I've seen some pictures on Facebook. Looks like you get quite a lot, actually. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 models and a character, another 10 and a character, another 10 and a character, another 10 and a character, and another big block of really cool looking characters, and a giant tyrant. That tyrant looks amazing. This is probably going to come up delayed for you, Patrick, but yes. That tyrant model has got enough schools for... Wow. Yeah, okay, out of all of those models, straight away, that thing would be an absolute beast to paint. Oh, he's cool. Prince, champion. This is the problem, and this is what we said on our update, mine and Phil's update yesterday, is there's... Somebody shows us, oh, that Shaman model was cool. Somebody shows us a new product line, and I'm instantly going, yeah, I want to do that. Just, where do you get the time to do all of this? They're really good. Rashnar the Outcast. Okay, we could look at these all day. Let's go to the next one. So this has been suggested. Who recommended this one? Al Kirkham.
Yes, I think he was.
So this is Blood and Plunder. This is 28mm historical pirates and ships for tabletop warfare. Did you see the teaser from Games Workshop, Patrick? They did...
Yes, I saw it yesterday.
That was brilliant. And I fell for it as well because I was like, ooh, we're going to see some elves. I was thinking it was an elf boat maybe or something else. And then there's just a goldfish. I was so annoyed. Games Workshop trolling again. Oh, wow. What? 1,056 backers pledged $215,000 to help bring this project to life. How have I not seen this before?
I think it's also a problem to get in contact with all these Kickstarters. I've watched every day in the morning the German page, and they have there some news, and I think once a week they publish a list with start Kickstarters, because otherwise you will miss a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I've missed them, and I'm supposed to be on top of this sort of thing And I've never seen this before. The models look great. These legendary figures. Your choice of Henry Morgan, Rivero de Pardel, or Francis something. I like the one in the middle with 2 little daggers. Quite like these boats as well. I know Dark Ops, they do a giant MDF boat thing, and that was impressive. So if you can get these in to use in a game as well, they're quite cool. Yeah, there's a lot here. Buccaneers, English Caribbean militia, Spanish militia. There's quite a lot then. Yeah, just to paint these without even caring about the game. I know it looks like there is a full game here with a system for special dice and action cards, and that's quite nice. Firelock D10 dice. Could use them in any game. Their own little mats, the fat mat and the island sets. You know, there's a lot there, but just looking at these... Oh, he's a cool character, Howard Pyle. Just having a look at these models to paint, for me, look worth it alone. Okay. I'll switch back to the main screen for now. Let's go through the chat. Why have I lost the chat? Limited print. Here we go. Alkirk and Blood and Plunder is another game I got from Kickstarter. Yeah, most people buy from me. Okay. Oh, most people buy from Kickstarters because of the models first and the game portion second. Yeah, that's definitely what I do. I don't know about you, Patrick. Do you buy it first for the models and secondly for the game?
Yes, at least for Mythic Battle Pantheon, I was very interested to see these centaurs.
Yeah, they're really cool. There's one on Forge World. I know somebody offered to send me it. Tom was in hospital and he said he was going to see if I can get this up, actually. He offered to send it me to go with the Beastman army. And if I had time to probably get it done before the tournament, I probably would have taken him up on the offer. But I was like, it's expensive as it is. And as much as I appreciated him offering to send me one, it was like, no, spend it on an army. And I think he's gone and bought himself a really nice Ashta Militarum army now. So it's much better that he does that. But this model, just because you said centaurs, you've probably seen this before, but...
It's from the Chaos Dwarves.
Yeah, it's insane. I love just the sheer bulk of this thing. It's not like an elegant looking model. It's just powerful. I mean, look at his stumpy little legs. It's got giant waist, a huge axe as it should have, and then its face is covered, so it's probably really ugly. Just an absolutely beautifully disgusting model. Really impressed by that one. The monsters from Forge World, I think they outdo themselves when it comes to the bigger monsters. They do an amazing job. That's even just base coats on it and it looks great. Oh, can we bring up a 360 of this? This is kind of going off the Kickstarter topic, but I'm going back into my love for Forge World again. Look at that. Beautiful paint job as well. Okay, we'll go off that again. Right, let's keep going through the chats. Scott Byle, the biggest drawback to Kickstarter is the company. If the company is not reputable, they could take your money and give you nothing and there is no recourse. I know there's definitely been times with that. Ooh, that was loud. Jeffel Bertson 742, thank you for subscribing, Jeffel. Yeah, I know there's definitely been Kickstarter companies or companies that have been on Kickstarter in the past that have just ripped off customers and not sent products out. And I don't know whether that's because they, as a company, they didn't necessarily know what the demand was going to be or couldn't supply the demand, or maybe they overpromised. I think that happens quite a lot with companies. They want to do a lot and they end up not being able to fulfill their plans.
And I think some companies might underestimate what a Kickstarter involves in manpower and even the production cost. There is a game system in Germany called Freebooter's Fate. It's a skirmish game with pirates. And they did, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, a Kickstarter to publish a new warband. and they offered so many stretch goals that they nearly got bankrupt by offering it, because it had been so much they had to deliver on top.
Yeah, it's just they've stretched themselves too much. And
Yes.
yeah, you can definitely see it happening. And I don't think, or I'd like to think, there aren't companies out there that are out just to rob customers. In this sort of niche market, wargaming as a whole isn't massive. It's big, but it's not massive. So if you go out as a company and try, purposely rip off your customers, you're not going to do it more than once. It's such a niche market that everybody pretty much knows everybody. The companies are all very well linked and work together and things like that. So if you do things to purposely rip off your customers, it'll only happen once. And I think there was it was the Alien versus Predator game. I don't know what went on there, but there was such an uproar for years on that. And I know a lot of people personally that I knew, and it's quite a. They used to be in the local area where I live, and you hear the fallout from that, from people who worked on the project, people who bought from them, and it was nasty just seeing the comments. And I think the staff got a whole lot of abuse, and I don't know the full story, but basically it wasn't nice whether you worked in the company, whether you purchased from them as a Kickstarter customer or not. But I know that tarnished that company for a long time, and there's still people to this day who haven't got their products, and they're still saying, I've never received them 4 or 5 years after pledging, which is just out of order. If you can't fulfill the promise, then you give the money back. And I just think they weren't giving the money back, and they weren't giving the product back, which is just out of order and shouldn't have happened. It's criminal, really. And I think a lot of Kickstarter campaigns now have to almost prove themselves before they do well. So they might start with a smaller Kickstarter campaign just to prove that they can do it. Then they'll do a second one, and that way they build up a customer base through loyalty and showing that they can do what they promise. Whereas the bigger ones that just go, I'm going to promise you the sky and the earth, and then can't give you anything, they don't get any support. So I think it is a very difficult thing to do.
As you mentioned, Alien versus Predator, Paulos01 just told there that some backers didn't get their products, but it was already on retail stores.
Yeah,
and
out of order.
I think that is something that shouldn't happen.
No, I mean, if somebody's paid you for a product in advance and you're giving the product to somebody else, that I mean, it shows what the company's like. Really, it's 100% about the money at that point. It doesn't matter about somebody's been loyal enough to support your business and your Kickstarter campaign to help you succeed and also to get a product, and you've just ignored that and then sold it to somebody else who's offered you the cash. It's almost like you'd see them as a piggy bank. Like, yeah, you paid us the money, we'll give it you once we can. But, there's another person here who's willing to give us money, so we'll bypass that until we can give you one later on down the line. And that's not how Kickstarter is supposed to be. It's you pay for a product, you get the product, and you expect that company to do everything within their power to get you the product before they start selling it to retail. And unfortunately, there will be people in the world that don't do a very good job at that. So it's not nice to see, and it tarnishes the whole industry as a whole, which is not a good thing. But I think once you find good companies that do Kickstarters properly, then you stick with them, and you know what sort of service you'll receive from them in the long run. So
right.
It's not good.
That's true.
Ralph has asked you, Patrick, are you planning on going to Spiel in Essen this year? I am kind of wanting to go, but never been before. Oh, you've said it.
I answered.
Yes. I will go this year. We will try and go as well, I think. If it's definitely later on in the year, I think myself and Phil. I don't do much travelling. A, because I don't like travelling, but B, because, it's more A, I don't like travelling. But I would like to go. I've been to Germany once before, so I think it would be good to go again. Anabolic. Creature Caster is awesome, but too expensive to ship to the UK. I didn't know how expensive they were, actually. Let's have a look. That's a shame if they...
I was not sure. Did you say it had been United States dollars or Canadian dollars? because I think it was quite cheap to send it and buy it, at least with euro.
I'm just looking now at so go to cart, $70. This is for a tree walker. Let's have a look if I was sending it to me. Oh yeah, pick the country first, Sam. You tool. United Kingdom. I lost us for a second. All right, estimate $20 for shipping.
Oh, okay.
So $70 for the model, and then $20 for shipping. I don't know if that goes up because maybe it's better to buy more models and then get them sent in one go. I don't know. But that is.
But I think if you reach maybe 250 Canadian dollars, they will ship it for free. So,
got you.
For example, if you have a friend who would like also to order something, it's possible to get it for free shipping.
That's fair enough. It's fair enough. There's a one-off purchase for one model. It is quite expensive, but like if you can band a bunch of models together or get somebody else a model, then it definitely is better.
That was also something. The Kickstarter from Kickstarter took very long. I think I received my figures somewhere summer last year, and it took ages. And the main problem was they planned to have delivery hubs, for example, also in Europe. So sending it out wouldn't be expensive and you would not have to care about customs.
Yeah.
But that did not work out. So they sent it from Canada, and because they didn't fill the custom forms correctly, I had to pick it up from the customs and pay for it.
Yeah, it's not great.
It was even more expensive.
Okay, let's just... John Snater say Creature Caster makes awesome looking large minis. I know there is a company in the UK, and my friend Luke has told me about them so many times, and I've had some of their models, and they are incredible. They were at Salute last year, and they're still cheaper than Forge World, but the quality and the size of the models are on Forge World's level. Let me see if I can find one actually. No, it was a giant crocodile with a giant mace, and it was amazing. And there was some Medusa.
Is it from Bane Legion or something like that?
Bane Legion rings a bell. They did some really nice undead models anyway, and they had loads of nice monsters.
It's from Mias Miniatures.
That's it, Mias Miniatures. Their models are amazing, and I don't know if they did a Kickstarter or not, but their models are just on the top level for me.
Yes, I think they did some Kickstarters, and I'm not sure about it, but I think one of the first Kickstarters didn't work out so well too.
Okay.
But they have some very, very amazing models in there.
I'm just going to see if I can bring it up actually, because that's easily one of my favourites. Mias Miniatures are, and we saw them at the show, and they were really nice.
I think
guys.
if you go just to Mias Miniatures. There is something like a lizard man holding a big axe already in front.
Yeah, so I've just clicked on Darklands, and the range is massive. I'm just going to click on one at random. Let's go with Norse, because that's going to be cool. So we've got... Oh my god.
That is why I never ordered from their page.
Oh my god, there's so many.
It's not very structured.
No, okay, the website's not great, but the models are amazing. Let's just bring up one of these. Yeah, I mean, detail-wise, model-wise, the resin is really high quality. I know the ones that I had to do from Luke, they definitely needed some gap filling here and there, but nothing major. You know, you still have to do stuff with Forge World's models, but the detail and these kits are awesome. Some of these bigger models, the detail on all the skin. There was a really nice giant model with a cool blade. I can't remember what it was called, but They had them all out on a table. Oh, wow. And I was just like, yeah. I want them all. Every single one. But I would have had to sell the house to pay for them. Because these aren't all, they're not overly expensive for what you get them, but they're not cheap. They are like £76, 76. It's a reasonable price for the size of the model, but if you want all of them, it's expensive. That thing is amazing. Amazingly ugly. I think that's painted by Ben Comets. Yeah, there you go, yes. Ben Comets.
He paints a lot of them for them.
And and he's a fantastic painter, as you know.
Yes, I know.
Let's have a look at this one. Wow. Yeah, love it. Absolutely love these. I think these model-wise are probably my favourites after... Yeah, you know what? Some of their models are on par with Forge World, but they're up there. What have we got here? I wonder, have you looked through the dragons for this range? Have you seen if there's any nice dragons?
I'm not sure they have dragons, and as I said, their menu for their figures is more or less a mess.
Yeah, it's not great. I think they need some work on it, but they need a lot of work on it. Might need them to speak to Phil. What have we got here? Malik, Black Elf Lord on Dragon. I mean, is that supposed to be Malekith? But probably. Yeah, it's not the coolest looking dragon, to be fair. What's this? No, not a fan of that. Okay, maybe it's the trolls that I like. The trolls and the giants. Here we go. I instantly clicked on a troll. I think I must have a troll fetish. Look at that. Really cool. Anyway. People can spend hours on that rather than watching me spend hours on it. Paolo's Blood and Plunder is a great example that I've seen a demo played at some UK shows but wasn't stocked by anyone at the show or game stores due to lack of distribution in Europe. And I think that's the problem. I think they need to get backing from retailers and be able to supply retailers as well. Thordalim de Caladai. Oh, it's just skipped on me. Where are you, Thordalim? There we go. Evening. Welcome, Thordalim. Ralph Verizinci. That must be the giant bird, the vulture. Graham Riggs saying, back to this so long ago, can't remember what I ordered.
Yeah, I think that was on Creature Caster. It took long because they had some problems who would do the casting for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the other downside. When you've got so many companies involved with creating the Kickstarter, then that's where the complications arise. And you'll have, the books, the cards are made at one company, the books are made in another company, the bags you have to order from somewhere, and all of the dice are created. When you've got a game system that has so many components, there's more things that can go wrong. Whereas if you've got a miniature company just making miniatures, you just get somebody to make them and then distribute them. You don't have to really do as much. There's not as many things that can go wrong. So I think depending on what Kickstarter you're running, you run into different types of complications and different delays. And the more things you put in a Kickstarter, the more delays and the more opportunities there are to go wrong. So
that's true.
There's more working parts, and that's where it's a problem.
And especially if they're brand new with their business and doing a Kickstarter the first time. And the main problem, I think, a lot of companies don't talk about problems. If they would be open and telling people what is going wrong, why it takes longer, a lot more people would be confident and believe in them. But if they don't talk at all, you get angry.
Yeah, you've got to be open and honest with your customers, otherwise no one will understand. There's no point in hiding things, and I think honesty is, like you say, one thing that helps most people. If you're honest with your customers, then you can't really do much more than that, than be honest and explain why things are going wrong or potential problems that may occur. Because if you say, this is what we're planning to do, this is what we want, and this is what we're going to need to do it, these are all the possible things that can go wrong, and you've been informed, you've got the information as a consumer to decide whether you want to go ahead with it or not. That's as much as you can do. And then if problems arise, you say, okay, this has come up, or this has come up, and we didn't expect it, but this is the problem. I think communication is so big and such a big thing when you're buying from companies that I think a lot of them just miss it for some reason or just avoid to do it.
Right.
Paolos is saying lack of post Kickstarter market presence can cause a problem if you miss the product during the campaign. So if you like the game, not being able to purchase it could mean the game dies out. Yeah, 100%. Al Kirkham saying agree with you, Graham. It takes forever to get your product. So that's another huge downside. But I think one of the side effects of doing Kickstarter, if they're not doing that's always going to be the case. They can do a rough estimate of how long things are going to take, and they can get an idea of all of the ways that the product will be put together and then sold. But once they've got the money in, then they have to set they have to start the process of actually getting the ball rolling, really, and putting it all together. So that takes time. And again, depending on the complexity of the product that they're selling, it will take more time.
Yeah, that's true. But they should tell their customers as soon as there arise some problems and there will be a delay.
Yeah, communication and estimates and updates, that's the only way you can resolve that. Otherwise, you end up getting into a nasty hole. Ralph Hummel, the only Kickstarter I ever backed was for the Everlasting Wet Palette from Redgrass Games. Should hit my inbox in April. I've seen those. They look really impressive. And if they're as good as they say they are, then I think I'd have to pick one up. I'm still using my custom-made wet palette, which works absolutely fine for me. But if there's an unlimited Everlasting Wet Palette, that might be one to move it on. Scott Byle, if you look at Kickstarter, try Madblock. It's a terrain Kickstarter. I'll bring it up, but I am conscious that we're getting towards the end of the show. So let me have a look. Let me type it in. Madblock. Kick. I'm sorry about my really loud keyboard. It is quite loud. Habblock. We've got the Habblock. Not Madblock. That's not it. Okay, I can only find Habblock. Anyway. Got to go. Friends for dinner are over. Enjoy the rest of the evening. You too, Ralph. Derpimus. Evening, folks. A bit late, but at least I got here. I've been chatting to Phil about this and what times we're going to be doing shows and things, and I may end up doing a Friday again just because I can do the later ones. I think the problem with this Saturday one is it's 6 o'clock. It's quite early. A lot of people get home from what they're doing or they're out on an evening, and it's difficult to come to the show. So I may potentially do a Friday again, maybe at 8 or 9. We need to get into a show structure of being the same time every week, really. And we did it for a while, but then we changed it to make it a little bit earlier. But I think Phil wants to continue with 9 o'clock. I think I would prefer to do 8 o'clocks, but because it allows me to go longer if I want to. But I'll speak to Phil and get some feedback. If you're watching this back and you've got an idea of the best show time for you, put it in the comments down below afterwards. Whether Friday evenings are good. Monday's out because that's Phil's day. Wednesday's the day where we're going to do the group chats and potentially some other stuff on Wednesdays. Friday's pretty good for me. So yeah, Fridays or Saturdays. I think Saturdays are a bit awkward, but we'll see. Freebooters Fate looks good. That's one you were saying as well, wasn't it, Patrick?
Yes.
Looks great, but difficult to get in the UK. AVP went to retail before some backers, yeah. Graham's still waiting for my AVP. It's disgusting. Pink's joined as well. Hey, Pink. Hope you're doing well. Derpimus, feeling guilty. I picked the AVP game off Amazon last year. Never actually heard about the Kickstarter thing until much later. You shouldn't feel bad, Derpimus, for picking it up on Amazon. It's not your fault. Pink's ordered some wargaming stencils from Kickstarter once. I think they would have been the dragon scaly looking ones. I remember you showing those. Green Stuff's got a head off. See you later, Green Stuff Games. Thordlin, my first Kickstarter I backed was funded in October 2015. Still not ready or shipped. It's just too long.
And I think that is also something why people hate Kickstarters.
Yeah.
If you present them some interesting miniatures, many people want them to buy them immediately and not wait a year or 2 years for it.
No, and I think you should. And that's the downside. I think that's the biggest problem, I think, with the Kickstarters is waiting for it as a customer. Because like a lot of people have said, when it arrives, you've forgotten about it. It's too far down the line. You don't even remember that you ordered the stuff.
But at least for Mythic Pantheon, they said it would be Christmas last year, and mine arrived before Christmas.
Mhm.
So I was quite happy. It was
like Christmas, yeah.
Yes, it was my Christmas gift.
Paulus, I think a lot of companies that go to Kickstarter need to improve their communication to keep backers informed about issues. Some are great, others non-existent. Yeah, 100% agree. Fuse the Ice, see a few of them at Salute, very nice. That might have potentially been the Mias miniatures, I don't know. Pink, maybe start with miniatures and bring in other elements, e.g. the rulebook piecemeal. Yeah, and I think that's one of the options companies could potentially go with. Don't necessarily start with everything. Don't promise everything. Start with something small, like the miniatures, because that I'd probably hazard a guess at saying the miniatures is what draws people into the miniature wargaming hobby. So start with those and then expand it. Once you've delivered and you've managed to get the Kickstarter ran and delivered within a year, then you add more to it, and that could be rules, or it could be a game system which you develop later on. And there might not even be if you do miniatures and you're doing successfully from just that, you might not even need to create a rule system. People might just buy the miniatures and you can keep designing and selling those. So start small and go as big as you need to. Derpimus, like a short PDF with the basic rules for your game system at the start, but an actual softback or hardback with rules plus fluff and artwork later. Yeah, and that's another example of what you could do. It's a download at the end of the day. There's no product to promise. You don't need a company to make it. You just give everybody who does the Kickstarter a free PDF so they can play a game straight away. And you sell the Kickstarter based on the miniatures. That's another way of doing it. Fuse the Ice, I received my Mythic Battles Pantheon the other week. There is an issue with the star clips, which hasn't been addressed yet, but the Mythic team are ace and weekly updates during the Kickstarter. So another example of a problem that's being communicated and sorted out. Oh, John Booth. Hey, John. Hey, boys, missed you. Missed you too, John. I need to try and get down to the club at some point in the future and play something of some sort. Scott Bile saying, sorry Sam, mix things up, it is Hab Block by Mad Terrain. Okay, we'll bring that up in a moment. Perhaps put a poll online about the show times. Yeah, that's probably better actually. I try and do comments because they pop up whenever we get a comment, but we have got the forum or the Facebook group. I might just put a poll up on everything and just collect results and see what people think, but we'll see. Derpimus, I suppose the thing is that Kickstarter is a useful way for newer and smaller companies to get a big audience, but combine inexperience and low manpower and small problems get bad quickly. Yeah, and it also hurts their ability to communicate this to the backers. I think that's it. I think we've probably got a little compilation here for anybody wanting to do a Kickstarter. Patrick, I think that was a good show idea. Anybody who's interested in Kickstarter can just watch this back and go positives, negatives, and then work out a Kickstarter campaign based on it. I think communication is up there as one of the things you need to have if you're doing the Kickstarter campaign. And obviously,
yes, and you need to have at least an idea how long the production steps will take and what could go wrong.
Yes, and communicate all of that. John Booth, 30k times, Sam. 30k? I haven't even got a 30k army. I sold them. I've got stuff to pay for, so I sold the Space Wolves and my Word Bearers and my Grey Knights. All three of those have been sold to Luke. So, but I'm hoping that once I've got the Beastmen done, obviously I've got my other projects that I need to finish army-wise, and then I can build up again from there. But yeah, they've all gone. 30k, I could potentially do a White Scar army, John, but it's going to be a long time down the line, and I've got other we did a channel review yesterday, and the two big focuses for the channel and for me personally are 40k and Age of Sigmar. They're the two games I want to focus on. Adding as many on as we did last year, I think we struggled to keep on top of releasing content for everything. So we want to focus this year on the two of them, but we can play definitely one of those two systems. I'm going to have the Bray Herds done by March if it kills me, which it is probably going to kill me at this point. They're so detailed. There's so much to do. And the 40k will be done after that. So we'll have games when they're ready. Right, let me just bring up. So this is the Hab block, which Scott has said to look at. So this is terrain. Phase 2 is a large upgrade and builds on the original Hab Block Kickstarter. Okay, so this isn't the original one. This is the upgrade. So what is all this? Is this MDF? MDF modular set of terrain that will suit most modern to sci-fi 28mm gaming systems. So that looks good. Brilliant for things like Necromunda. Oh yeah, okay, that's cool.
For Infinity.
Or Infinity. That's, oh my god, some of the models. Oh, let me just quickly look at this and then we'll talk about Infinity. I didn't realise you'd been looking at Infinity as well, Patrick.
I have... yeah, I already forgot what the army is called. It's something like Templar units.
Yeah, there's 3 which I've been interested in. Let me bring them up and I'm going to see if it's one of them's yours. Don't say anything, don't say anything.
Pan-Oceania?
No, you said it. That was the one. That was definitely the one. There was 3. There was that. There was Mercenaries. And then there was... it was the Japanese, like, samurai-inspired ones. They look amazing. They're the 3. Let me have a look. Infinity. Oh, not Infinity War. Infinity Miniatures. Let's have a quick look at this. Infinity the game. Store. Here we go. Right, so Pan-Oceania. These are like knights. So some of the models are insane. Let me bring some of these up. Oh, I think you can do them bit by bit, actually. Oh, I looked at a proper gallery where it let me just flick through them all. Oh, yeah, here we go. This might be it. No, it's not. But really cool looking models from that. They're all like medieval knights that are futuristic based, if you get what I mean. Some of these mechs are really cool. Like quite dynamic and not static, which is what you get with a lot of the mechs. There we go. Really cool looking thing. Almost like an Eldar model. I keep looking at the same model. That model is obviously their front model that they use everywhere. I don't know how I got onto the gallery thing that I was looking at. That was so good. Right, so that's Pan-Oceania. Maybe. Factions. Here we go. Oh, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. So Pan-Oceania. Miniatures. This is what I clicked on. Catalogue. I don't need it translating. Here we go. Right, so Yujing was another one of the really cool factions. Why is it not popping up anymore? It's not really very big for me to show it. Okay, Shikami. Really cool looking, ninja looking blokes with 2 blades. Sniper rifle dudes and some blades. Just some really good models. Painted really well. I don't know who's painted these, but they've done a cracking job on them. Anyway, they're good. And then Mercenaries was another one of the ones that stood out for me. And I think these, going forwards for the channel, I think tutorial-wise, I'm definitely going to be getting some of these, especially this guy. He's my favourite out of the entire range. This Miyamoto Musashi? I don't know who it is. He's got an outfit, and then he's got a non-outfit version. But that model, both of them, are just incredible. We've got the sniper. Anything with a sniper rifle or a samurai sword is a win for me. And there's so many cool... Oh, that's cool. Yojimbo. Is that his name? A samurai dude on a bike. And then a foot version. Some of these are just awesome. I don't know. I don't like that. It's like a fox mercenary. Oh, he's cool. She. Saito Togan. So many cool mercenaries. And then there's like a Scottish one. Have you seen that army, Patrick?
Yes.
Ariadne, I think it's these. Airborne Rangers, and they've got like kilts and things. Not doing very well at showing these off, actually. So check out, just put in Infinity the game, anybody who's interested in this. Oh, that was a cool model. Colonel Yevgeny Voronin. I don't know who. That's cool though. It's got a dog. Wolf. Check this out on Google. Some cool looking stuff. So I'm definitely going to get some of them to paint for the channel. Let's go through the chat finally. John Booth, first Kickstarter was D-Day Dice, can't wait. Yeah, and Mark's had a lot of, Wordforge Games has had a lot of practice doing Kickstarters and doing Kickstarters and fulfilling them fairly quickly. You know, they've done a good job on those. I just wish there was one big universe to delve into that I could stick with. He's obviously got the Devil's Run, which is like a Mad Max style apocalypse game, but I want like the miniatures. I'm really excited for his Star Knights Space Crusades game, and I hope that gets expanded and properly supported. Build one fast, come play my robots. No, John. I could do Imperial Fist. I could do Imperial Fists pretty fast for 30k because I just spray them all yellow and then weather them with AK Interactive, and we could probably be playing a game within a week. Looking to do AOS this year. Well, we'll look at that then, John. Which army to do? Carlos, I think there is a guy who did a product through Kickstarter who has done a YouTube video about his experience with it, including all the pitfalls to look for. There you go then. Google that. YouTube that. MCM, welcome MCM. Evening all. This is my first Saturday night for a long time. Well, I'm glad you're here, MCM. Although we are at the end, so you might have to watch it back. And then we've got a spammer by the look of it. Surreal, or looks like Patrick is sitting on Sam's lap. Because I'm slouched down. It does kind of look like that. That's quite, we'll leave it. I'm slouched down. Surreal, haha, more like Santa Patrick who wanders off at Warhammer World and returns with presents. Oh, it's because Derpima says, tell Santa Sam what you want for Christmas. Yeah, Santa Patrick. I still can't get over that giant repulsor. I always forget its name. It's just waiting for the White Scar backup now. And that's going to be amazing. I always forget its name. I just remember it as like a Titan. Oh, it's effectively a Titan in my head. I'm going to try and think. What is his name? I can't remember its name. I always forget it.
Just name it like Rachel did. Thingy.
Thingy. Yeah, okay. It's called the Thingy. That's bad. I normally remember. I'm pretty good at remembering names of models and paints and literally everything. I can remember color combinations from like 10 years ago. I can't remember the name of a model. Like, it just blanks. It's gone. Eugene are awesome. Mr. Pedantic 1980 is followed. Thank you, Mr. Pedantic. That must be a Twitch one then, because it normally says subscribed. Anyway, Karanis is saying Eugene are awesome. I play them. Most are painted by Angel Geraldo. Okay, well, you do an amazing job. Polos Infinity is such a cool game. Wait, Patrick isn't on Sam's lap. Astreus, that's what it's called. Pink, yes, Astreus.
Astreus Super Heavy Tank or something like that.
I'm going to try and remember it because I know Acharya said Astreus more like ashtray as after my falchions are done with it. So I'm going to try and remember it as an ashtray. If I remember it as ashtray, then I'll remember it. There we go, done. Perfect. Right, is there any other bits you want to talk about, Patrick, this evening?
I think if we go to the end of the show, and just to get back to our Kickstarter Boon or Bane title, I think the Bane would be if the products don't go to independent stores, as then only a small amount of players will be there. But the boon of Kickstarters will be you get a new product financed, and if you bring it later on to a broad public, it might bring people to the hobby, like painting miniatures, and even get interested in other games.
Yeah,
and for that, I think the Spiel in Essen is a really good place to come, because there are lots of people interested in board games, and they get now more and more in contact with tabletop games.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think there's much more to add to that other than communication. Communication is the main thing I'm going to remember now. So that's everything. Thank you very much for joining me, Patrick. I always
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem anytime, like I say. Everybody who has commented during the show, it's been quite a good one. I appreciate you spending your time and chatting away to us. So thank you very much to everyone who's come along for that. Thanks to the people who have subscribed as well, this chat. I know we're getting closer and closer to that 10k. I think we'll hit it within the next 2 months. I think we're going to aim for 2 months. If we can hit 10k, then I don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to think of something that will happen if we get it within 2 months. Which 40k army is Patrick? I don't know if you do 40k, do you? You had Eldar.
I had Eldar, and there now was Phil.
Yeah.
I have still some painted, how are they called? Banshees, the Scorpion Warriors, and the Scouts.
The Rangers.
Rangers, you're right.
Yeah. The Rangers are amazing. I love them. I love the character from them. The Alatok captain is like stood with one leg crouched up and then another leg stretched out. I really like the pose on that model. So some good stuff. Okay, perfect. Well, Monday, Phil will be doing his Monday musing, I believe. I think he's still got that planned. 10k to the USA. 10k come to the USA maybe, yeah. Wednesday, I don't know what's happening, whether we're going to have a group chat. We're going to do something on ChillCon fairly soon. I don't know whether that's going to be a Wednesday, a live show, or a pre-recorded one. I haven't spoke to Phil yet in terms of doing that. Other than that, everyone have a fantastic rest of the weekend and a good week, and I'll see you next week at some point. So, see you later.
Bye.